Yo, what is up, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube world? Continuation of the grocery haul video. I figured I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and cook one of the recipes that I want to do. So this is going to be one of the lunch recipes. We're going to make a bulgogi fried rice with bok choy. So, we're going to get everything set up, and I think we should go ahead and get this party started. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube world, here is my ingredient list for my ground beef bulgogi recipe. So I will let you know that this is the gluten-free version of the recipe, since I do have my gluten intolerance. But you can more than happy to use normal soy sauce for this recipe. And also a secret ingredient to go with this as well is a Japanese barbecue sauce. So, which I cannot use, and I can't really find a gluten-free version of it. So we're going to use it without the Japanese barbecue sauce. So the first ingredient we're going to use is pure black ground pepper. Second ingredient we're going to be using is Himalayan pink salt. Third ingredient is any kind of high point smoke oil. This is grapeseed oil, but you can use avocado oil, any kind of oils that are high smoke point, so it doesn't burn when you cook with it. Fourth ingredient is chili, red chilies. For spiciness, you should only use like half of a teaspoon of this, not too much, per serving. Garlic, or you can use fresh garlic or garlic powder, but I highly recommend using fresh garlic for this for better tasting food. Next ingredient is soy sauce. This happens to be gluten-free. You use a normal soy sauce. And also missing ingredient in this is Japanese barbecue sauce for the bulgogi. The next ingredient to be used of choice is bok choy for my vegetable choice, but you can use onions, green onions, carrots, mushrooms, whatever vegetable you like, but I'm using bok choy for this recipe. Next ingredient is your protein of choice. I'm using ground beef for this, but you're more than welcome to use any other protein choice you would like. Really good options would be chicken thighs. You can use shrimp, any kind of beef, but I would recommend using some like a top sirloin or something I can render and marinate very easily. And the very last ingredient for this to make fried rice is obviously you need your rice. This is sticky white rice, but you use jasmine rice, brown rice, any other kind of rices. Rices with quinoa, vegetable rice, or you can even use that protein rice that some people make, but completely up to you. All right, so the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be chopping up the bok choy. I know traditionally you're not supposed to do it and you sear it just on both sides the way it is, but for my fried rice, I like everything to be like grain, or like the size of the grain rice size, just because I like everything coming from the flavor of the rice. So we're going to go ahead and chop this guy up. So I've got the chopping knife here. We're just going to cut the edges off that. And then you do one thing at a time, but we're just going to be chopping it up like so, until you get something like that. Or you can go a step further and you can dice it up even more, so you get pieces that look like that. So I'm going to go ahead and chop up the rest of this bad boy, and I'll return with the next step. Cool, so the next step we're going to be doing is we're going to be heating up our pan. Now, if you have gas appliances, it heats up obviously a lot quicker than electric appliances, but I do have a smaller style pan here because I'm only going to be making one serving. If you want to make a big bulk for meal prep or for extended family members and friends and so on, then you would use a bigger pan. And basically all the ingredients I showed you would multiply by how many servings you were trying to look for. So a weekly serving, I'll be doing 6. So I'll be doing this 6 times, or in one big bulk of everything. So go ahead and crack that soldier boy up to high, and we're gonna let that heat up for a little bit. And then once you get to the right temperature that we need, we're gonna turn it down to about a medium high, and we're gonna go ahead and throw in our seasoning ingredients. First, the next steps we're gonna be doing to check to see if the pan's hot enough, you just flicker some water in there, and you'll hear it sizzle. If it's sizzling, that means you're ready to be drizzling. All right, so the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding our seasoning ingredients. Now, what does that consist of? So we're going to be adding our oil of choice. You could do spray oil if you want to lower your caloric intake, as well as your lower your fat intake. But we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of oil. Should be only like a tablespoon or two. There should be 2 tablespoons of the oil for the calorie outtake of everything. So you're gonna let the oil heat up a little bit. So the next thing we're gonna go ahead and add is our garlic and our chilies. So we just add some garlic in there, like so. We're starting to get a pop like that. That's perfectly fine. That's what we're going to need. And then add our chilies. Depends if you like it spicy or not. You can add how many chilies you want. But from the garlic, that was about a tablespoon. Actually, we're going to add a little bit more garlic to this. About a tablespoon and a half of garlic. And for the chilies, that was about about a tablespoon as well. So now you're going to grab your utensil, this kind of spatula, and we're going to go ahead and just kind of mix it all around. It's going to get a little toasty, but hey, you know what? Perfectly okay. And things are going to start popping around, but once you lower the temperature, then it'll definitely reduce for that aspect. And then we're going to get our protein. Our next step is we're going to go ahead and add our protein in. I just cut this package in half. We're only going to use half of it for this ingredient, or for this recipe. We're just going to plop that in there like so. And we're going to let that cook. So on top of that, you're also going to add your salt and pepper for seasoning. So add a little salt in there. And you want to add this to flavor, or to taste, I should say. So once this ground beef's all cooked up, I'll go ahead and return for the next step. Ground beef is cooking. We're going to go ahead and add our soy sauce. Again, this happens to be gluten-free. Don't want to add that much because we do have a lot of grease from the beef in there. Man, pepper's really kicking my ass. So you can use this for the grease, for flavoring of vegetables as well as the rice once we put it in there. Or you could set it to the side and use a different kind of oil or a different kind of spray to get your rice cooking. So, but for the time being, we're just going to use everything in here since, as they say, fat is flavor. So we're going to go ahead and keep the grease in there as well. So we'll get that cooking. We're going to go ahead and add our vegetable choice. So again, for this, we have the chopped bok choy. Go ahead and throw that in there like so. We're going to give that a nice little stir until the bok choy starts to melt up a little bit. Again, this is going to be a very heavy on protein and vegetable meal, as well as we're going to be putting our rice in here very momentarily. Then you're still rocking your stove on medium high. So once we put the rice in there, we're actually going ahead and kick this up too high so we get our rice cooking. So you're just going to let that sit for a moment, and you're going to wait for our vegetables to go ahead and render down a little bit. We'll be back with that. All right, our vegetables are wilted down a little bit. So the next step is going to be cracking the heat back up too high. We're going to be adding our rice itself straight from the package, like that. And then what you're going to need to do is obviously take the rice, break it up. I'm using a really bad spatula for this, but it'll work. So we're going to get that all mashed up, and we'll be back. All right, so I got our rice mashed up and everything's cooking. So one important ingredient I actually forgot to add if you want extra protein and fat, you got an egg here. So the kind of the secret with eggs is you create a hole in the middle here, and then you just kind of crack them up like that. Let the egg cook for a little bit, and cook the yolk, and then give it a nice little stir. These are good yolks because they're orange. So you're gonna let that kind of cook in the center. Like this for a little bit, scramble it like so. Pan's getting hot. And then you start incorporating your rice into the egg mixture like so. At least that's my little trick with incorporating eggs into fried rice. And then you start mixing it up all around like so. The nice crisps on the edge is something you definitely want. So if you want little crisps at the end of your rice, you just let it, you flatten it like so, let it crisp up, and then you start stirring it around again. You let it sit for like a minute or so on high, and you can see that crisp. And then we're just gonna add a tiny bit of soy sauce for the finishing touches as well. And then you should, once you stir that up, you should be ready to go. All right, everyone, we have finished the bulgogi fried rice, and here's the end result. Looks absolutely spectacular, absolutely phenomenal, absolutely scrumptious. So for beverage, we do got this Karma probiotic water. I really like they are expensive though, but they're really good, and they have a bunch of vitamins and stuff that's good for your digestion and so on. So if you have the money, these are not a bad pickup. So I think we're gonna go ahead and try this magnificent creation that I have presented to everyone. Oh yeah, that is mighty, mighty tasty. So this is a really good meal for dinners or lunches. It's got a pretty significant amount of protein in it. A little bit high on the fats, but you could reduce that by using cooking spray oil or get leaner beef or leaner protein. So like chicken breast would also work on this if you're trying to watch calories. And again, everything in this is gluten-free. So if you don't want the gluten-free alternative, which gluten-free is the alternative of the original version, but for my sake of not going to the bathroom as much, I'm going to be sticking with the gluten-free one. But you can use regular soy sauce as well as Japanese barbecue sauce. It's actually what makes the bulgogi like really set in us. So sponsored by the sunflower sweatshirt, the sunflower shirt, which I actually really like. So I hope this is something you guys can implement into your meal preps. Again, you just multiply the servings by how many do you need throughout the week. This would be like 6 for me, so I'll have to make 5 more of these. Yay! But macros and calories will all be put into a separate snip before or after to kind of give everyone a general idea of the macros of this recipe as well. But this is really good, especially when it impress someone. So I hope you guys enjoy the recipe, and I will catch you on another episode of the weight loss adventures. Ah!